Hey everybody, Jake here for American Trucks. Now we talk a lot about wheels and tires around here, and one of the things that comes up often is the subject of road noise. So I figured since I like science experiments and we've got our truck here, why not do a little test? So this is our 2021 F-150. And as you can see, I've got the stock wheels and tires on it. Now these are branded as all-terrains, but they're definitely more of a highway-friendly type of tread, not super aggressive. So what we're gonna do is run the truck with these. Then we're gonna come back and put these slightly more aggressive all-terrains on there, see if they make any difference. And then after that, we're going all the way and putting on these chunky mud terrains and see what kind of a difference those make. So, I've got everything ready to go here. We're gonna get this thing off the lift, take it out, and see what we can find out. All right, so now we are outside in the F-150. Again, this is our 21 F-150. This is a 5-liter truck, and we are running it on the stock wheels and tires right now. So let me talk you quickly through my setup here. So obviously, I've got this camera, that camera, hi to people over there, and you might be able to see, I've got this Zoom recorder set up as well. So in addition to my microphone here, I've also got this guy, which is gonna capture the audio in the cabin. So we should get a pretty good idea of what it's gonna sound like. Now I've also got my decibel meter, which is going crazy right now because I'm talking, but we're gonna put the max on this and see what we get. Also outside, there's a camera on that side of the truck to give you an idea of what it looks like going down the road. And we've got a microphone on this side away from the exhaust to try and capture some of the road noise. So with that, we're gonna go do a little street drive, a little bit on the highway, and come back here and switch the wheels. So let's hit it. All right, so here we are on the street portion of our little loop here. We're gonna do the same thing 3 different times with each set of tires. And initial impressions, this thing is quiet. I'm doing just about the speed limit. This is a 40-mile-an-hour road. Really, the loudest thing in here is the turn signal. The tires are not making a lot of road noise as we would expect. So let's fire up the decibel meter and we'll see what we get. So that peaked around 67.3. So pretty quiet overall out on the street. So now that we've got a baseline for the street, we're gonna hop out onto the highway, do a little loop of that, and see if we can get a baseline for that as well. So now that we're out on the highway here, we've got the cruise control set. Fire up the decibel meter again, see what we get. So not bad, 69.9, which is really only a couple decibels more than what we got out on the street. So this thing is pretty darn quiet on the stock wheels and tires. So we're gonna head back, we're gonna swap over to the more aggressive all-terrains, see what kind of difference those make. All right, friends, now it is round 2. We've got the ATs on here, so let's go ahead and do that loop again and see what kind of difference they make. Okay, here we are back on the same loop that we did earlier, this time though with the Milestar Patagonia ATRs on here. So these are a bit more aggressive than the stock tires. They're more of a traditional all-terrain type of tire versus the all-season sort of road-going variant that gets put on here from the factory. There is a bit more tire noise. It's not a ton, and if you didn't do these back-to-back, honestly, you probably wouldn't notice a difference. There's just a bit more thrum coming from them. So I'm gonna fire up the decibel meter now while we're on the street, see what it looks like. Okay, so that was about 68.2, which is about a decibel higher, which really, all things considered, not much at all. So again, that was about 68 decibels, a little over 68, 68.2 is about where we settled on the decibel meter, which is really, again, not that much different. It is noticeable though, there's a bit more of a thrum to these. Now, of course, it's gonna vary depending on what tires you get. So you might be saying, well, you know, I might have a different type of tire, might be a little bit more aggressive. Yeah, this is just giving you an idea. So I think we'll see even more of a difference when we get out on the highway. But again, I don't really think it's gonna be that drastic. Here we are merging onto the highway. We're gonna go ahead and get ourselves up to speed. Fire up the meter one more time. All right, so we settled in at about 70.7. Not bad. Again, about 1 decibel higher. But the interesting part to me is not necessarily the level of the noise, but the frequency of it. So these do have a definite higher pitch to them, shall we say, than the the factory stock tires. Not too terribly much though. So if you're thinking about going for some ATs, maybe don't worry about it so much, especially if road noise is on your list of concerns. If I were driving this truck every day, that would not bother me in the slightest. Let's go see what these mudders are gonna do. All right, we've got the mud terrains on finally, and we are setting off. Okay, here we are setting off with the mud terrains on the truck now. And immediately, they're kind of hysterical. Hopefully you can hear that. That's 40 miles an hour on this road, which is a 40-mile-an-hour zone. They're almost singing. It's like they're singing a certain note. It's kind of funny. Definitely much different than the last two sets that we tried. It is a noticeably louder experience in here. All right, let's fire up the decibel meter and see what we're getting. So that's running about 70 or so without me talking. All right, so we've just set off now with the truck on the mud terrains, and initial impressions, we're doing 40 miles an hour on the same road that we were on before, and there's a noticeably different pitch. It's not super loud, as you can hear. I'm not talking too loud, but it is there. So I'm curious to see specifically what happens once we get out on the highway. Okay, here we go, merging out onto the highway. Yeah, I think this is where we're gonna see the biggest difference. Okay, here we go at our steady state cruise. Let's fire up the decibel meter. All right, so we saw about 76 with that one. So that puts us about 6 decibels above even what we saw with the all-terrains. You can definitely feel them. It's a bit of a bumpier ride, it's a bit firmer, but these tires are also quite a bit wider than the stock ones, so the truck feels pretty stable, all things considered. It's about 67.3 for the stock tires on the street, about 68 or so on the street with the slightly more aggressive all-terrains, 70 with these mud terrains on it. Yeah, the volume isn't all that much different because of that, but the pitch is wildly different here versus what we were experiencing with the other tires. Well, that experiment did not go exactly the way that I thought it would. I really thought we were gonna see a lot more of an increase in decibels, specifically between the all-terrains and these mud terrains. However, what we did learn is that it's not so much the amount of noise, but the type. Whereas the stock tires were very quiet, the all-terrains had a bit of a hum, and these guys here were singing me a song the entire way. Now, of course, every tire is going to be a little bit different. Every truck is going to be a little bit different, but hopefully this serves as a nice handy reference guide for those of you who are thinking about putting more aggressive tires on your truck. If you like the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you enjoy our stuff, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and you hit that notification bell because we are putting out new stuff all the time. This is American Trucks. I'm Jake. I'll see y'all in the next one.